Hey everybody, welcome back to HomeRecordingMadeEasy.com, VisionRecordingStudios.com, and LearningToMix.com, and here on my YouTube channel. And this morning, once again, we're back for another episode of Questions and Coffee with David. This is where I get up bright and early in the morning, and before I start my day, I'd like to answer some of your questions that come in over Facebook, YouTube, and email, and I try to help you out as much as I can in video format. If you'd like one of your questions answered in an upcoming episode of Questions and Coffee with David, please send an email to info@homerecordingmadeeasy.com, info@homerecordingmadeeasy.com, and I will be sure to feature one of your questions in an upcoming episode of Questions and Coffee. So now before we get to the first question, if you like what you see in this video, hit that subscribe button. Also go out to facebook.com/homerecordingmadeeasy and follow me there. And for more tips, tricks, concepts, and training around all aspects of home recording, head out to homerecordingmadeeasy.com. Take a look at the Made Easy series and the Quick Mix series. They will absolutely help you make better mixes, masters, and recordings in your home studio. And last but certainly not least, if you want to dive down deep into the craft of mixing and join a community of like-minded audio engineers and home recording musicians that are all looking to get better at the craft of mixing, head on over to learningtomix.com and check out what I have going on over there. I think you'll really dig it. So now let's head on over to question number one. Okay, question number one comes in from Brandon, and Brandon asks, "Hi David, thank you for all you do for the community. I love the informative videos you make for YouTube. I have a couple of questions. I'm trying to make a purchase decision between an audio interface with a built-in MIDI capabilities versus getting a Studio Live Series 3 mixer, which does not. If I go with the Studio Live route, how do I get MIDI into Studio One Professional? I suspect I would need a MIDI interface additionally. I like the Motu MIDI Express ST, but how would that work? Also, any idea when the DAW mode available for Studio One using the Series 3 mixer?" Thanks again, Brandon. Well, Brandon, thanks for writing in. Well, I'll answer your last question first. As far as the DAW control for Studio One for the Series 3 mixers, as of the recording of this video, which is mid-October 2017, it is not released yet. I hear rumblings throughout the community, and I'm pretty in touch with a lot of the people over at PreSonus and a lot of people close to the people at PreSonus, and it's coming out this year in 2017. I believe it's in probably the testing stage around this point. I know they want to make sure that they get it right before they release it, even though when you release any new product or any new software, any new firmware, there's always going to be a little quirk or a bug here and there, and I think they want to eliminate as much of that as possible. So it is coming. It'll probably be here in the next month, 4 to 6 weeks, and that's real exciting. So that's why I have the Series 3 mixer, as you know if you follow me on my channel. As far as your audio interface is concerned, whether you buy an audio interface that has MIDI capabilities or whether you buy the Series 3 mixer, I guess it really depends on what your overall goal is. Now, keep in mind that you can have the Series 3 mixer for mixing and for recording audio, and you can also have a secondary interface like the Motu you mentioned or any other interface that has MIDI capabilities that you can record your MIDI into Studio One. You can have as many audio interfaces hooked up to your computer as your computer will handle, but just keep in mind that Studio One Professional only allows you to use one interface at a time. So in other words, if you're recording a song, you can choose whatever interface you need for that particular job. And then when you want to record MIDI, you can choose the interface that has MIDI. So you can absolutely do that if you want to. So if you're looking to have, the Series 3 mixer it's really going to be for if you really want to mix on a full, real console with, that real tactile feel, or if you plan to take maybe your mixer out and do gigs with it outside of your home studios, that's always a plus. And if you're going to do lots of recording where you're going to record more than one instrument at a time, maybe miking up a live drum kit and things like that, the Studio Live Series 3 mixer will suit all of those requirements. Again, if you're just record one instrument at a time and do lots of overdubbing, well, the Series 3 mixer might be overkill for you. However, if you really want to mix with a console, then the Series 3 mixer is a good idea. So it's really just, you have to really sit down and decide what are you going to use it for in your studio. Really, what are you going to use it for? If you want to have the best of both worlds, then yes, get the Series 3 mixer for your mixing capabilities and all your recording of audio. And then you can always have a secondary interface just for MIDI, and it doesn't have to be anything fancy or expensive. I don't know the Motu specifically, but you could even get a PreSonus interface, that has MIDI capability, like the i2 or the i4 or one of those, and that'll do just fine. So I hope that answered your question, Brandon. Thanks again for writing in. Now let's get on over to question number 2. Okay, question number 2 comes in on YouTube from Funk Station Studio, and Funk Station asks, "Hey Dave, thanks so much for your informative videos. I have been a session drummer for many years now and new to Studio One. Are there any stock Studio One plugins or effects you would recommend for each individual drum track? I have been dragging effects like toms and snares from the effects section onto the track, but these sounds are not cutting it. Also, what do you prefer to use on the drum master bus to glue the kit together? Thanks, Danny." Well, it's Danny from Funk Station Studio. Danny, thanks for writing in. So as far as, a standard set of plugins for each individual drum track, a lot of this is dependent on how the drums are recorded. Okay, but I can tell you generally, you're going to use EQ, you're going to use compression. And you can use the stock EQ and the stock compressor. You can start with that. That's perfectly fine. I got lots of videos on my channel showing you how to mix and do things with stock plugins, so that's not an issue. So I would use compression and EQ. Now, if your next question is, well, what EQ settings and compression settings do you use for the specific drums? That's impossible to answer. It all depends on how the drum was recorded, what kind of microphone, what kind of drum, how it was tuned, the environment it was recorded in. Is a whole bunch of variables. And that's why when you drag the presets that you mentioned onto the track, it doesn't cut it. Those are kind of a standard set of presets that PreSonus came up with in order to get you in the ballpark, but then you have to know how to tweak it from there. The reason why it doesn't cut it for you is because there's no one standard set of settings on any kind of plugin that's going to work for every application, so keep that in mind. So if you're new to things like EQ and compression, I highly recommend you go out to homerecordingmadeeasy.com, and if you don't have Compression Made Easy and EQ Made Easy, you want to really take a look at those two products, because that's going to help you with your question and help you learn how to use EQ and compression effectively to really get your drums to pop and sound great. So that's that part of the question. As far as a drum master bus to glue the kit together, typically it's a compressor used on a light amount of compression, typically like a 2-to-1 ratio, just enough to kind of kiss the needle, maybe a couple of dB of compression at best. That will help kind of glue the kit together. Again, Compression Made Easy will kind of take you through that as well. So compression on the drum bus normally will glue the kit together. EQ and compression on the individual drum tracks and learning how to shape each individual drum sound, that's going to help. And the other thing you're going to want to keep in mind when you get into compression a little bit more heavily, one of the things I do on drums, and it's all over my YouTube channel, if you see me mix drums on any one of my YouTube videos, I do this more times than not, is when I'm using compression settings on drums, I will always, most of the time, I should say, not always, because there's always exceptions, I'm using the same release and the same attack time for all the individual drum kits. Now, what that attack and release setting is will depend on everything I just mentioned a few seconds ago. The reason why I do that is because I want the drum kit to sound like one instrument. I don't want it to sound like 5 or 6 different pieces of the drum kit. I want it to work as one unit. So once I determine what the release time and the attack time is for all the drums, I'll use the same attack and release for all the drums, and then I'll just change the threshold to dial in how much compression I want for that in particular drum. And that'll give the drum kit a little bit more cohesive sound as well. So those are some tips and tricks you can try on your drum kit here. If you have any more questions, Danny, please write in and I'll try to help you even further. Thanks again for writing in. So now let's get on to the last question of this episode, question number 3. Okay, last question comes in from Sean, and Sean has another kind of an EQ drum question, and he writes in, "Hey Dave, hope all is well with you. What are your thoughts on EQing electric V drums? Do they need it? Do I approach the EQ the same as acoustic drums?" Sean. Well, Sean, thanks for writing in. Well, again, do they need it? Well, it really depends on the V drum kit itself, and not so much the drum, but the module. How are the samples and how do they sound? Does it need it? Again, it all depends. A lot of times it does need it. Sometimes it doesn't. I've worked with sessions that would have the Roland V drum kits, the real high-end Roland module, like the TD30, TD50, those kinds of things, which are like, a $7,000-8,000 electric drum kit. The modules, the sounds that come out of those modules sound amazing. They don't need hardly any processing at all. Then in the past, I've worked with, more lower and affordable type drum modules, and they really don't sound that great at all, and I have to do a lot of shaping. So it really totally depends. More times than not, they probably all will need a little EQ and a little compression, typically to shape and get everything to kind of sit together. Do you approach it the same way as acoustic drums? Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it all depends on what it sounds like. The source of the drum, whether it's an acoustic or a V drum, doesn't really matter, is what does it sound like coming through the speakers or over your headphones if you're mixing. A snare drum on an electric drum kit or an acoustic, the EQ curve, the frequencies and the fundamental frequencies and such are going to be about the same. It depends on the sample of the V drum, what kind of drum was being sampled versus the acoustic, but you're in the same ballpark. Again, understanding EQ, especially because your question's about EQ, how to use it and how to effectively use it. Again, EQ made easy. I know I've said that in the last question, but again, I get a lot of these types of questions, and that's why I created those series. They're beginner guides to learn how to use EQ and compression like we talked about, because those are the two most important tools you need to learn how to mix. All the other stuff doesn't mean anything if you don't know how to use EQ and compression in an effective way, and that's what EQ Made Easy will do and Compression Made Easy will do for you. So head on over to my website and check those out. So that's kind of my answer. Yes, they probably need it on some level, but it all depends on the source. So thanks, Sean, for writing in. I hope that answered your question. If you need any more clarification, certainly write in and I'll be happy to take care of you. So that's it for this episode of Questions and Coffee with David. Again, go out to homerecordingmadeeasy.com, and if you want one of your questions answered, just shoot me an email, info@homerecordingmadeeasy.com. I'll be sure to get back to you and put it in one of these videos. Also, hit that subscribe button, give me the thumbs up, follow me on Facebook. All that social media stuff that you guys do to follow me really enables me to continue to do these types of videos and do this free training for you on YouTube. And last, again, go out to learningtomix.com. Check out what I have going on over there with Pete Woj from mixbetternow.com. I'm telling you, you're going to love that mixing website. Whether you're a beginner or a seasoned mixing engineer or home recording musician, you will get a ton of value and training out of learningtomix.com. So go check that out as well. And until the next video, I will see you guys all soon. Take care.